All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making up plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Another Monday night here on the ASAP Network. It is time for Bring It. I am your host, the Big Dog. So good to see everybody. We got a special show this week. So much happening the last week in sports. So hard to cover it all, but we're definitely going to try. We have my man Ray is back in the house. What's up, Ray?
What's up, Big Dog? How you doing, man?
Good. It's good to see you. It's good to see you back. And we have one of the co-hosts of the JC3 show out of San Antonio, Texas. And one of our college sports experts here on the ASAP Network, Mr. Trey. Trey, how are you, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm tired. That's why I haven't shaved. I've been staying up till 2 o'clock the last 4 nights watching college basketball. Thought I'd get a little break, but then the brackets came out. Then the Tom Brady news came out. I'm tired, but I'm going off energy. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me, by the way.
Oh, of course, man. Yeah, we did the college March Madness preview last year, and I'm like, we got to do it again, man. It was hot, so definitely had to have you in. And we will get to the brackets in just a minute, but, once again, the NFL has said, hold my beer, and once again trumped all the other sports stories with Mr. Tom Brady around 7 o'clock, an hour after the brackets come out, deciding to announce that he is returning to the NFL for his 23rd season. Coming in right under the deadline before the free agency period starts in the NFL, and those deals have been wild and rampant today. So, Ray, what was your thought when Mr. Brady announced that he's coming back last night?
To me, I mean, it's good for Tampa getting the quarterback back, having them come back and stuff like that. But I mean, I think Tom Brady did it for a reason. Waited till the brackets came out, then popped this up there so he could be more news than the NCAA. I think it was just his ego was struck. I think he had to get permission from his wife though to come back because he said he was going to retire at 45. Yeah. He's at 45, could be 46 when the season starts. So I mean, he had to get permission to go over the 45-year mark that he put out about 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about that. That you kind of wonder, well, who really rules the roost in that house? Is it him, or is it Giselle? I mean, obviously, Giselle, Brady makes a lot of money, but Giselle makes a little more money than him. Trey, are we all Brady'd out, or is it like, okay, give him credit for doing what he's doing? I mean, I know I'm like over Tom Brady, like enough. You won 7, enough. What do you feel about this?
I might be in the minority, man. I cannot get enough of Tom Brady, dude. I mean, every championship he wins is historic. I mean, this guy's won more Super Bowls than any franchise in league history. But I agree. I mean, the time, like the brackets came out, right? And 10 minutes later, I'm driving home and I get these tweets and texts. I'm like, what the heck? Like, here I am thinking about my bracket. Now I got to think about Tom Brady coming back again. Really, dude, you could have done this early in the morning. You could have done this Saturday night, but you wait 10 minutes after the brackets are revealed just to do it because Tom Brady could have his time. But I don't think he's got to get. I think he's 40 days retired. He said, you know what? Screw this. Screw regular people life. I'm not handle this. I'm going to go back and I can't handle doing dishes and doing kid. I'm just playing. He doesn't do any of that. He's a multi-billionaire. But I applaud him for coming back, and he didn't hold it. And I think he had to come back yesterday because today it started NFL free agency, and so he had to let the Tampa Bay Buccaneers know before they shell out Jensen and all these other free agents that were hitting the market. Now they're getting their team back together, and he did themselves a favor. But I can understand why people are Tom Brady'd out, but I'm not one of them. I'm getting up there in age. I mean, I'm not as old as some people on the show, but I'm getting up there in age where I'm 35, and I'm like, dude, Tom Brady, if I can still do stuff that Tom Brady can still do it at 45. Now, granted, I'm not going to do what his diet is, but I applaud the man, dude. I mean, he knows what he wants. He doesn't want to give up the sport that he loves, and I applaud him. But at the same time, I never thought he was going to retire. I thought there was something weird all about it. I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction at the end of the season. It's like, do I really want? No, I'm just going to retire. And then it's like, no, yeah, I feel pretty good. I think I can do this again. So because that Instagram post of his farewell speech, I was like, dude, he didn't say goodbye to New England or anybody. I'm like, dude, that was not even heartfelt. So I applaud him for coming back, but I just don't. I understand why people are so sick and tired of Tom Brady.
And and look, I agree with you. You got to give him credit at his age, in the shape he's in, the way he takes care of his body, and the lifestyle that he lives. I mean, it's hard. It's definitely hard, but you definitely got to give the guy a lot of credit. Now, Ray, you played football. You know how hard it is to walk away from a game you love, but at the same point, I mean, no matter what, he's 45, 46 years old. I mean, we're around that age. Physically, the next morning, it's got to hurt. I mean, it's got to hurt.
It's got to hurt because right now I'm about to be 50 in June. And my knees are shot. I feel like I'm about 65 years old right now. All my knee injuries and my back and stuff that goes on in my life and stuff like that. But I wanted Brady knew that Alex Kappa was going to leave and go to the Cincinnati Bengals, his right guard. He might regret the decision to come back though, too. So
I know both the guards, I think, left. One signed with Cincinnati, the other one signed, and then the other one retired, right? Was the guy? Was
something like that. But I mean, if they're going to rebuild that offensive line, you got a 45, 46-year-old quarterback that's not really mobile quarterback. He might be back there running for his life, rest of thing. But he said he's coming back for one thing only, to win the Super Bowl. So.
Exactly, and that'll be interesting. The Super Bowl is in Las Vegas next season, so according to the trend, the Vegas Raiders should be playing in it because the last 2 seasons the host team has been in the Super Bowl, so that bodes well for McDaniel.
I can almost guarantee you that's not going to happen this year.
No, yeah, definitely not. And we're gonna talk more NFL in a bit. We're gonna go to March Madness right now, but we're gonna come back to all the amazing stuff that happened in the NFL last week. But the main reason Trey is here this week is to talk about March Madness. The brackets came out last night, and it looks like a crazy tournament. The top 4 seeds are Gonzaga, Arizona, Baylor, who won the championship last year, and Kansas. Definitely an interesting draw. So, Trey, when you first saw the draw came out, what were your knee-jerk reactions like? What was your oh my god moment when you saw the brackets come out last night?
Oh my! It was at the very end when I did not see Texas A&M's name up there. I mean, I'm not an Aggie fan. I'm a Texas Longhorn guy, so this is hard for me to say. Right. But Texas A&M, the way they play in the SEC tournament, the way they finish the SEC play, they're one of the best 32 teams in the country.
Right.
That team, they had to play 4 games in 4 days to get to the SEC championship game. Their legs were just tired, and they only shot 28% from 3 from in the championship game against Tennessee. But Tennessee's playing good ball too right now. But that was my knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, really, Michigan's over Texas A&M, where Michigan was derailing at the end of the season. They didn't even get out of the first round of their conference tournament. Texas A&M has a better record, better net, better everything, but yet Texas A&M, that's one thing that really surprised me. Other than that, I think the committee pretty much got it right. I think I like all the matchups. I think they seeded everyone just perfectly. I would probably have I'll probably have Texas Tech at a higher 2 out of 2 than a 3, just because the way they play. But that early loss to Oklahoma in the Big 12 kind of hurt them a little bit. Duke had a chance at a number 1 seed, but they blew that against Virginia Tech. So I wasn't mad about that. I was mad that they're not coming to the South Regional bracket because that's where I'm going to be covering. I really want to cover Duke because it's my team. But other than that, the one thing that really shocked me after I came home and I studied the bracket, I was like, they put Gonzaga as the number 1 overall seed, but they put them in the toughest region on paper. You got to go through Arkansas, Texas Tech, Duke. That is the hardest region in the bracket. And plus, you got Boise State's no pushover either, and they got them in the second round. So I was kind of shocked that they put Gonzaga in the hardest bracket. I think Kansas has the easiest way to get in, but like I said, it's March Madness, mayhem happens. So let's get ready to rock and roll. But most of all, I think the committee actually got it right for the first time I can say in forever. I just would have put Texas A&M over Michigan, but that's just me.
And it's interesting. And I'm looking at Texas A&M right now, and compared to Alabama, who Alabama got a 6th seed in the West region, whereas Texas A&M had a better record. Their last they had a better road record. They're both 9-9 in the conference, and Texas A&M makes the tournament final. So definitely an interesting discussion about Texas A&M. Ray, what was your first reaction when you saw the bracket came out last night? What kind of hit you?
I think they got Duke too high.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, they got Duke too high.
Oh, I'll let you finish, but I'm going after. Oh, go ahead. I'm
gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you why. Duke's coming into the play slipping. He lost to North Carolina at home.
Oh.
That's the first thing. Then he lost to Virginia Tech in the ACC championship game. Virginia Tech played 4 games to get into the championship game and actually won the championship. Virginia Tech's playing better basketball right now too than anybody in the ACC. I mean, they went through the ACC tournament like it was nothing. 4 days and won the ACC championship over Duke. Coach K is now 0-2 in the last game of everything that he's 0-1 from home, leaving home. Close out last game at home, lost that. Last game in the ACC tournament, lost that. Duke is not going to win the NCAA tournament. I know Trey's going to go off on all this stuff, but I'm going to tell you what. Tennessee should have been higher than Duke because Tennessee had a better overall net record, better win over anybody out there than Duke. Yeah, if go look at the numbers, look at the sheet that the NCAA put out there. Tennessee outranked Duke in every category, every single category.
Go ahead.
And if you don't believe me, you can go ask Dick Vitale too, because he's the one who put it out there too. He said Tennessee should have been higher ranked than what they are.
And that's been the talk, a lot of talk all day about how Tennessee should have been ranked, should have been a 2 seed. Duke should have been a 3 because they go through and run through the SEC. All right, Trey, let's hear your rebuttal to that.
No. For one, that loss to North Carolina, we can blame that one on Coach K for his farewell tour and all the shenanigans going up to that. Those players were not ready to play. There was too much parading, too much. They were not ready to play that game. And they still had a lead late in that game, and they still should have won that game. But that's a rivalry game. You can push that one aside, whatever. Duke already beat North Carolina in Chapel Hill big time. So we can just not. But, yes, Virginia Tech was – if a player's going to make 8 threes in a row and just be unconscious for Virginia Tech, there's nothing you can do about it. This guy was unconscious, making everything he threw up. I think he made 8 straight threes before he missed one. So, but I will say this. Duke has a better they had the best wins of the season. They beat Gonzaga over in the West Coast earlier in the year. That was a big win for Duke, and I think that's solidified. Duke wasn't until that North Carolina game. Duke was playing very good basketball. They were blowing teams out. They were doing things right until that parade of farewell tour, like Coach K, all the ex-players coming back, all the alumni, all the pressures on those 18, 19-year-old kids in Cameron Indoor, where tickets were selling more than the Super Bowl tickets, mind you. That's a lot of pressure on those young kids. But I will say this. I agree with you. Tennessee should have been in 2 seed. I would have put Auburn at a 3. Auburn's been slipping lately. Auburn almost lost to Georgia. Auburn didn't even get out of the first round of the ACC or the SEC tournament. Auburn has not been playing Auburn basketball as they were at the beginning of the year. That's who I would switch out, not Duke.
Yeah, no, Duke should have gone.
Don't be a Duke hater.
Duke should have been a number 3 seed. Nah. Hey, trust me. I'm gonna tell you what. If you got the Coach K, you're supposed to be the GOAT of basketball coaches. You got 5 championships. Real good. But you know what? Dean Smith, when he go head to head Dean Smith, he has a losing record against Dean Smith, 34-14. 34-14. They both had the same amount of championship when Dean Smith retired. Dean Smith was the all-time winningest coach when Dean Smith retired. Dean Smith did win his last game against Duke and Dean E. Smith Center. Roy Williams even won his last game against Duke before he retired, too. So, I mean, Coach K put that on his team on himself when he announced that he's retiring a whole year.
Right. Roy Williams.
And I'm going to give you one good reason. What Dean Smith said when he retired, he said he did not want to put his kids through a pressure season for him to play the full win. That's why he retired the way he retired. That's why Roy Williams retired the way he did. Exactly. But Coach K did a Coach K Me tour. That's what we call it. Coach K tour. He had to stroke his ego. And now look at all the reactions as last time. He had to now get this. Coach K and all this, he's a great coach and everything. You got to respect the guy. But first, he comes out and interrupts the freaking, at the end of the game. Oh, it's my fault, blah, blah, blah. But then he interrupts his player at the ACC championship too in the press conference. You know, that your player's trying to, you know, answer the question. You just don't cut your player off. I'm sorry. You know, let him finish the saying, then you can pick up from it. But he did cut his players off when, you know, in that press conference. And that shows his ego is getting to him.
You're right. I agree. It's all on Coach K. And that's why I say Roy Williams and Dean Smith, they didn't announce their retirement until after the season. And it put all the pressure on those 18 and 19-year-old kids who are not used to that pressure. But I still have Duke at a 2 seed. I would not put Auburn. Auburn's slipping more than Duke was. I have Tennessee's playing the best ball right now. I actually have Tennessee in my Final Four. Believe if that's true. They're playing great basketball right now. I agree with you on that. Hell, I might even have them over Baylor. I think Baylor should have been a 2 seed. Tennessee probably
Baylor's slipping. Baylor's slipping too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, that West region is going to be the toughest region.
Exactly.
Because I mean, if Duke gets up against Arkansas or, you know, whoever they play, Michigan State, you know, Michigan State could probably, you know, if they put the right guy, right callus, anybody can beat anybody in that bracket. Exactly. I mean, that number 1 seed, you know, if Gonzaga is going to win the championship, they're going to have to go through a brutal bracket. And some people saying that they can't get through that bracket. You know, that bracket is going to take a toll on them too.
I can't hear you.
You're on mute.
I apologize. They're saying that this Gonzaga team is better than last year's Gonzaga.
No, hell no.
I've heard a bunch of people talking about that. So I mean, that's what I heard today. So I thought that was interesting. So
let me tell you something about this Gonzaga team. I heard it when Carolina went up against Gonzaga that year. That Carolina blew them out. You know, Carolina ain't gonna be able to beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga got the best team out there. Carolina blew them out. Look at the one that, you know, in 2017, Carolina and Gonzaga. Gonzaga had the better team. Yeah, but Carolina won the game. You know. So I mean, you can tell a team that they're good on paper and all that. They look good on paper, but they got to get out on the court and play. And then you know what? Sometimes that happens. Look at what they did against Duke. I mean, they threw an egg against Duke. I mean, they put the center out. The best player got foul trouble, you know, and stuff like that. So I mean, anything can go. But the problem, I'm going to tell you what the problem with Duke is. Duke does not have a true point guard. I mean, they rotate. They don't have a true point guard. Coach K's even came out and said they don't have a true point guard. Roach is not a true point guard.
No, Roach.
Sorry.
Roach is a shooter. But I'll tell you, what's that kid's name? What's his name? Kneeling? Yeah.
He's not the true point guard either. He's a shooting guard.
He's a playmaker, though. Roach.
Yeah, he's a playmaker, but he can't. The problem is he plays his shot and trying to get other players involved, and that's when Duke goes awry, when he's trying to create. But if he creating for himself and then, you know, go in there just like Caleb Love. Caleb Love is not a true point guard for Carolina.
No.
He's a shooter. But he's trying to play point guard, and Davis playing point guard, and we got 2 shooters and stuff like that. That's the problem with Carolina is right now. Because if they 2 gets hanged up, Carolina's, you know, terrible. But this is the same way. If you get a guard to pressure Kneeling, he turns the ball over left and right.
Let me ask you this real quick. You say that Duke, North Carolina don't have true point guards. Is the NCAA starting going where there's not a true position like the NBA? Like there's no true position player? Because you've seen the guy out of Gonzaga, Holmgren, he's basically Kevin Durant, 7-footer who's shooting from the outside, not a true post player. You don't see true point guards anymore. You're seeing shooting guards more.
And that's the problem of the game, though. College is trying to mirror themselves out to the NBA, you know, and college is totally different than the NBA because you got more. You don't even see teams like when Carolina was back in the 80s. You seen Carolina do 2-3 zone. You see the 2-3 zone, the 1-2-3, the 1-3-1, the 1-3-1 pressure, the 2-3-2 pressure. You don't see that no more. You don't see you don't see all that. You don't see the multiple changing defenses. They trying to play man to man. You know, some teams will go to zone, but if you go to zone, you got to have a true point guard to break that zone.
No, that is true. That's true. Let's just take a look at these brackets. Ray, can you share that screen that I was trying to share there? We want to take a look at each region. All right, so let's just take a quick look at the Western region, which we're talking about. Gonzaga being the highest, being the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, starting in Portland. So I mean, do we all agree out of this quad four that Gonzaga can get out? Obviously, they can win the 116 game, but against either a Boise State or a Memphis, do we all agree that Gonzaga can get out of this and make it to the Sweet 16?
I think they get out of the Sweet 16, but Memphis is probably going to give them a little bit. Memphis is playing good ball too. We know they lost to Houston in the AAC championship game. Right. Memphis is playing really good ball. Penny Hardaway's doing a good job with that team. After they came out and in the second half of the season, they started playing better basketball. I still think Gonzaga beats Memphis, but I think that Memphis-Gonzaga game is going to be a lot closer. Arkansas, I have no trouble with Arkansas going all the way to facing Gonzaga in the Sweet 16.
So you see a 1-4 Gonzaga, Arkansas, Sweet 16. What about you, Ray, on that side of the bracket? Who do you see getting down? Do you see Gonzaga and who getting to the Sweet 16 on that side of the bracket?
Man, I've been watching I watch a lot of basketball over the years, and this Arkansas team is dangerous. Arkansas team is dangerous, and if they make it to that with Gonzaga and that, I think Arkansas could take Gonzaga because of the pressure defenses and stuff like that. To me, I have Gonzaga and Arkansas in that final. And actually, I'm going to give you a spoiler. I'm going to have Arkansas beating Gonzaga there.
There you go. I'm actually hung up right now on that. I was like, I want to pick Arkansas, but it's the size going to be too much for Arkansas. That's the thing. But Arkansas, like you're right, they press you. They have so many different pressing defenses that can make it life living hell for you. But the problem is, can they make enough shots? Can they be that consistent team that we saw later in the SEC play? But upset alert, you remember, always pick a 12 over a 5. I think New Mexico State beats UConn to face Arkansas.
Interesting pick. Yeah, I don't have them as my 12-5, but that is definitely an interesting pick. So let's move over to the other side. Alabama will be playing the winner of Rutgers and Notre Dame. I think Rutgers will come out of there, and I actually like Rutgers out of the Big Ten. I thought they had a good year, and I think Alabama is overseeded, and I think Rutgers might actually be that one. There's always an 11 seed that moves forward out of that 6-11 game. I think Rutgers is going to be that team this year. But we all agree Texas Tech is way too physical for Montana State, so I guess we can move there. The Michigan State-Davidson game, I think, is going to be a phenomenal game. I mean, CBS has got two great games that night. They got Duke, they got Michigan State. Interesting putting them into a round of 32 possible matchup. Davidson almost wins at the buzzer yesterday in the A-10. So Ray, out of this quad, I mean, do we see Duke coming out, Michigan State, or Davidson maybe pulling out? What do we see in this quad here?
Well, to me, being a North Carolina guy, I would love to see Duke and Davidson play myself. That's just a pure right there watching all these 3-point shooters for Davidson against a Duke pressure defense and see what they go at. I mean, because I'm gonna tell you what, North Carolina played Davidson. Duke stays away from Davidson. This would be the only time that Davidson will get a shot at Duke, and I think they can play to that. I would love to see it. I think Michigan State is a little bit tougher than what coming out of the Big Ten, the way they've been playing, basketball in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. They've been ready for it. So I still have a Duke and Michigan State, Izzo versus Coach K. That's what it is. Legends versus legend.
Exactly. And we all know what Michigan State does amazing things in the tournament, but Duke, the karma, Trey, I mean, you're a Duke fan, but I mean, as a Duke fan, do you rather see them play Davidson or Michigan State? Who would you rather match up against?
I don't care. I think they beat both those teams. If Duke plays the best, I think they beat both those teams. But I think Duke's first matchup is going to be tough for them. I think it's good. I think CSU is going to keep it close to begin with, but I think Duke's going to pull away late. But I think Duke's going to come out of this bracket. But going up to Alabama, I don't care who wins, Notre Dame, Rutgers. I have them winning over Alabama. I've not been impressed with Alabama this year whatsoever. I'm with you. Texas Tech's going to win that one. It's going to be Texas Tech. And I'm shocked. The reason they put Michigan State, Duke in a round of 30 because they want to see Tom Izzo and Coach K. That's what they want them to go at it one more time before Coach K retires. That's exactly what they did. They would never do this in any other year, but they did it this year because that's a Sweet 16 Elite 8 matchup this year at any time. But actually, I have Davidson actually beating Michigan State. Like you said, those 3-point shooters, Michigan State's not playing great. They're not that great of a team this year. But Tom Izzo, if you're going to beat Tom Izzo, you got to do it in the first round because not they get hot, then Tom Izzo takes that team deep in the playoff NCAA tournament run. But I think Davidson, I think they're coming off that bitter loss in the against who they play, Richmond.
Yeah, they played Richmond.
Yeah, Richmond.
Yeah.
Blowing that lead, Richmond goes on a 7-0 run in the last 107 left in that game to defeat Davidson. I think Davidson, the veteran team that they are, I think that they're going to have that sour taste in their mouth. I think they're going to come out firing and shooting. I think they're going to upset Michigan State. But like you said, it's also going to be a tough matchup for Duke. I think Davidson keeps it close, but there's no Steph Curry on that team. There's no player that's going to carry them. I think Duke's too much to handle. I think you're going to see Texas Tech and Duke in that Sweet 16 matchup.
All right, so we all basically have the top 4 seeds moving forward in this. I actually have Connecticut in an upset over Arkansas, but I'm an East Coast bias guy, but that's just me. So who do we have coming out of the West? Ray, who do you have coming out of the West?
Say it.
I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna stick with it. I'm gonna go with Arkansas.
There you go.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna stick with Arkansas.
All right, Trey. I have a feeling I know who you're gonna pick, but just say it.
Oh man, like I said, this is the toughest region. Any top 4 teams can come out of this region. All top 4 are playing good basketball. I would not see that. I mean, they can all go to the Final Four. But for some reason, I think he didn't get the last game in Durham. He didn't get the ACC title. I think it all comes circle. I think he goes to the Final Four in his last year. I think he does it.
All right, so you have Duke. Ray
I have
has
Duke
Arkansas.
over Gonzaga.
It'd be a lot of referee cheating then.
Yeah.
Okay, Carhill, don't be a hater, man.
Well,
Hey, man.
I'm riding with the Zags again this year. I don't know. I just something tells me about that.
I got a question here though.
Sure.
If somehow CSU, Cal State Fullerton pulls the miracle upset, what would that do to Coach K's team?
Ooh.
Losing again in the first round to a mediocre team.
For them to lose a 2-15 game in the tournament, oh, that would be insane.
They lost to 2-15. Who they lose to that one year?
Mercer.
Lehigh. Was it Lehigh?
Lehigh. They lost to Lehigh. They lost to Mercer.
Duke's had trouble in the first round. That's why I said don't sleep on the CS team. But if Duke can get a win under the belt and go to this, I think the nerves and everything was. It's always about getting that first. Same thing in conference play. Just getting the first game's always the hardest in these tournaments, especially this year because last year they didn't have fans. This year the fans are going to be rooting for the underdogs. They're going to be cheering for them. It's going to be an electrifying atmosphere because we missed that last year. The first game's going to be the toughest one. But once you get that first game, if they can get that first game under the belt, any one of these teams, they can make a run.
Yeah,
that's the thing. But going back to that best Gonzaga team, did I not see that Gonzaga team last year? Jalen Suggs was a stud on that. They don't have a Jalen Suggs on this team this year.
No, they don't. But I don't know. Something just tells me with
but
them.
he's not that great. I mean, he's great, but he can shoot, but he blocks shots. But that's about. I mean, I don't think they're going to be the best NBA player we've ever seen out of there.
No. But if they can take care of the ball, I think they can come out. All right, let's move down to the bottom to the East bracket. Baylor, the 1 seed, the defending champion. Definitely an easy win against Norfolk State. This North Carolina Marquette game should be a very good game.
That's tough.
Definitely should be a very good game. Carolina's been an interesting team this year. They obviously win the last game at Duke against Coach K.
Up and down team.
They're up and down. But something I have a feeling that Carolina is going to step up and play well in this first round. And
this game is going to be a revenge game.
A revenge. All right, how is it a revenge game, Ray?
Because Marquette beat Carolina in the Deanie Smith Center and blew them out last year. So Carolina's coming out wanting their revenge on them. But you got to understand too. Marquette's got Shaka Smart as a coach. Carolina has never defeated a Shaka Smart coach team either.
That is true. That is very true. And this is Hubert Davis's
first
year getting into the tournament. Should be an interesting matchup. St. Mary's plays the winner of the Indiana-Wyoming game. I could see St. Mary's beating either of those teams. I mean, Indiana's been kind of hot and cold, but Wyoming again coming out of a weaker conference. St. Mary, even though they're in the West Coast Conference, still a good team overall. UCLA with the little darling of last year's tournament back again, playing Akron, probably win that. So it'll be interesting to have a West Coast matchup if you get a UCLA and a St. Mary's in this side. So out of this side, of these 8 teams on this side, what do we think is going to be our Sweet 16 and coming out of this side? Trey, we'll start with you.
Of course, we can put Baylor. I like Norfolk State. They had a good year, but Baylor's going to win that one. Man, I hate saying this. I actually have North Carolina being Marquette just because Shaka Smart, ever since he made that run to the Final Four with VCU, he has not done well with the team of Texas. I mean, he was at Texas last year, won the Big 12 championship, and then get outs in the first round to Abilene Christian. He's been underperforming as a head coach ever since his VCU days. He hasn't won the big games. I think North Carolina, I think it's a revenge game. I do think North Carolina gets to win. I think North Carolina still has a sour tape, just like my Dukies do, because Virginia Tech beat the crud out of North Carolina. Just like Virginia Tech did my Dukes. But I think North Carolina, I think they play better than what they showed against Virginia Tech. I think you're going to see Hubie Brown do a good job coaching and getting his team ready. So I think North Carolina's actually going to get the ups. I don't know if it's an upset, but a lot of people are picking Marquette. I'm picking North Carolina. I think UCLA, coming off that Pac-12 championship game, I think they're one of the best teams. I think they could be easily make it to the Final Four if everything goes right for them. But St. Mary's, if Indiana wins that playing game, I have them beating St. Mary's. And it's hard for me to say because St. Mary's playing good ball. But just watching Indiana play, I think they're playing with a lot of confidence. Remember, they're Iowa buzzer beater shot away from going to the Big Ten championship.
Right.
So they're playing really good basketball right now. If Indiana wins, I'll pick St. Mary. I'll pick Indiana to beat St. Mary's. But I have UCLA, Baylor in this side, Sweet 16 playing.
Okay, and it's going to be interesting on the top with Baylor playing either North Carolina or Marquette. That game is in Fort Worth, so it's almost a home game for Baylor. Waco's not too far from Fort Worth.
Trust me, yeah, it's a home game.
It's a home game. It's a home game. All right, Ray, you're a Carolina guy. Carolina pull off the upset against Baylor in Fort Worth.
They could. Depends on what North Carolina team shows up. If the one that shows up and played at Cameron, yeah, they can beat anybody in the country. If the team shows up that played Virginia Tech, no. Or the team that showed up and played Duke in Chapel Hill, no. It all depends. This run is going to all depend on for Carolina. It's going to depend on Caleb Love, R.J. Davis, our backcourt. Armando Bacot can take care of himself inside. Right. Braden Manning, he gets a matchup problem for any stretch four. Because he is known now as a cutter. He can go out that 3-point line, and then next thing you know, you turn your head on him, he's cutting to the basket for an easy dunk. And that's what has worked the last few games for Carolina was that matchup. But Virginia Tech, he get kind of cold. But see, I'm a realist here. I never liked Carolina to come into an NCAA tournament with a winning record, with a winning streak. Never. Carolina has never won the NCAA tournament coming into an NCAA tournament with a winning streak. Never.
Interesting.
And so I think Hubert Davis can get more attention out of that because they lost to Virginia Tech. It's got a bad taste in their mouth. But the question is, the two people to the key of this team is going to be Caleb Love and R.J. Davis. How they play. If Caleb Love is all about Caleb Love and what he did at Virginia Tech and all that, when he gets down, it's going to be a bad juju thing. But I think Baylor's going to come out. It's going to come out on top if Carolina gets to Baylor. I think Baylor's got too strong of a team. They get go inside, outside. Carolina's got the one focal point and inside in Bacot. But again, that stretch four, if Braden Manning's on, he's on one game and then he's off the next game. So that's all shoots Carolina down right there. I don't care if Indiana gets past Wyoming. I think St. Mary's could pull that upset right there. Could win that and go into there. UCLA is a strong team. I don't think Akron's got enough manpower to basically UCLA, so I have that there. The interesting is Texas and Virginia Tech. That's the most interesting right there.
Yeah,
because
let's move to that side.
If Virginia Tech plays that team that comes to play Duke plays Texas, that's going to be a shootout, barn burner, and everything else. Because Texas is a good defensive team. They play good defense. Their offense, they got that one kid that can drive the ball. They can give Virginia Tech havoc. But the problem is, can the Texas center stay with Aluma, the Virginia Tech center? Because he can go inside, outside. So, I mean, that versatile. And then Muggsy, that that forward. He could bring the ball up and play point guard too. He's a versatile kind of guy. He's a smart guy. And you got that Wofford kind of offense too, because the head coach came from Wofford. And then you got that one guy that comes off the bench, Cooter. He was supposed to go to Wofford and transferred, decided to pull out and come to Virginia Tech to follow the coach. He had 30. He had 31 points against Duke coming off the bench.
Yeah, and he only scored averaging 5 points in this ACC tournament when he plays Duke and goes bananas. And that, whatever. I'm still bitter about that. All right, leave me alone.
So it all depends on what Virginia Tech team comes out and what Texas team.
Virginia
and then
I think Virginia Tech's only lost one game since they went 0-4 in conference play starting the season. I think they've only lost one game.
Yeah, they lost to Carolina.
Yep.
So Virginia Tech they lost to Carolina twice in the regular season. And then beat Carolina in the tournament. Who figures that out?
Yeah, exactly. Who figures that out? Well, so
I think Purdue has a good shot coming out of the East if they played Purdue basketball. Not like they've been playing. Like they played against Carolina when they beat Carolina and all that. They had everything going inside, outside. If they had that team come out and play, I think Purdue has a good shot making a run towards Baylor coming out of the East.
Yeah, they played well in the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, couldn't really shoot well yesterday, but yeah, Purdue is definitely a dark horse in this region. I definitely think out of all 8 of those games, the Texas Virginia Tech game is definitely one of the games to definitely tune into. That's Friday at 4:30. That game is being played in actually Milwaukee. This Murray State San Francisco game, I know a lot of people were saying San Francisco shouldn't have been in the tournament. That maybe Dayton should have gotten their spot or Texas A&M, but either one of them has to play a Kentucky team who has been really hot and cold this year. Kentucky has been kind of hard to figure out. A lot of people say they were overseeded. Trey, do you think Kentucky was overseeded?
No, I think they got it right. I think Kentucky should have been a 2 seed. They have some good quality ones, good quad 1 wins and stuff. But going back to that Texas Virginia, this is another thing that pisses me off. I know you're not supposed to have 2 teams, but I'm a Texas guy. And I saw this bracket, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Virginia Tech, Hokies going to knock both my teams out? Man, wait, Virginia. This is why I make 2 brackets. One with my heart and one with my head, right? Because my heart wants the Texas Longhorns, but the Texas Longhorns get nothing at the end of the season to get motivated about them for this NCAA tournament. Even Beard's not happy with his team right now. This team has all the talent in the world. They have Timmy, who's a stud player. He wanted to come play for Chris Beard. You have Roach. You don't have Roach. You have Ramey. You have Andrew Jones. You have all these leadership on the seniors on this team, and this is the way they look crappy. They blow a 20-point lead against TCU. They can't beat Kansas. They can't beat Baylor. They kept it close. Texas plays hell of a defense to keep it close. But if you score over 60 points against Texas, you're going to win this game. And that's where Virginia Tech's going to come into play. Virginia Tech, I think, is going to win this game. But I still think I'm going to pick Texas just because I can't root. This is the problem we have, right? You can't, you're rooting for Texas, but you're like, I don't want my bracket to be perfect. But I think Virginia Tech gets the victory. But don't sleep on Murray State, man. Murray State's only lost 2 games this year. I know they're a mid-level team, a mid-major, everything like that. But they have a lot of senior depth on that team. They can give Kentucky a hell of a run for their money in the round of 2, the 32. Because Kentucky, like I've said, what wins in March Madness is guard play. Murray State has some good guard play out of there. They have senior leadership on that team. Kentucky's full with a bunch of freshmen. Kentucky's fast. Kentucky can Kentucky score enough to keep. Murray State could pull that upset, but I still have Kentucky coming out of this region. Out of this. I think it's going to be. Actually, I think it's going to be. It's Purdue, Kentucky in this one. That's who I have.
Purdue and Kentucky. All right. So, who do we have coming out of the after? We're going to take a break after we finish up this region. So, Ray, who do we have coming out of the East?
Well, I don't like Kentucky. It's just something about that Kentucky, North Carolina games and stuff like that. But to me, I think Kentucky is up there. I think Baylor's up there. I think Purdue could be a spoiler. So I'm just going to stick with the number 1 team. I think Baylor's going to come out.
All right. Trey, who do you have coming out of the East?
I think I have Baylor, Purdue playing in the Elite 8 to see who goes to the Final Four. Remember, Purdue got unlucky 3 times in Big Ten conference play this year. They could have been a number 1 seed. if they didn't lose shots at the buzzer 3 games in a row, or like Michigan State, Indiana, like that. So Purdue could come out of this. They could be easily number 1 seed, but I'm not sleeping past Baylor. I think Baylor, the way they play defense, the way they're playing the ball right now, I think Baylor comes out, especially with it being the first 2 rounds in Fort Worth. I think Baylor's going to get the momentum. I think they're going to go on to the Final Four.
All right. Well, I'm going to go the opposite. I have Purdue coming out of this region. Something tells me that Purdue just got unlucky with that with the Big Ten championship game. I've been liking the way they've been playing all year. And one of the hardest things in sports, especially college sports, is to repeat. And a lot of pressure is Baylor, number 1 seed, especially coming out of Texas, having for 2 or 3 games in Texas. So I like Purdue in this region. All right, we are going to take a little pause right now, run a little spot right here, and when we come back, we will talk about the South and the Midwest region. We will be right back.
Get ready. This summer, the Arena League Sports is on ASAP Network. Tune in live on either the Tiki Live or Roku app, as well as your smart home TV.
All right, we were back. We are excited about this partnership with the Arena League. So looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be able to watch the games right here. We're going to be covering them top to bottom, left to right, up and down. It's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's jump back into it. The South region, Arizona, the number 1 seed in this region. A lot of people have been saying Arizona could win the whole thing. Championship team, come out of the Pac-10. Yeah, not the greatest conference in the state and in the country, but Arizona been on a roll most of the season. Good teams. So, Trey, let's start with you on the Arizona side of the bracket. With them, Seton Hall, TCU, Houston, UAB. And Illinois and Chattanooga. I mean, is this pretty much a breeze of a side for Arizona?
It would have been if it wasn't if their point guard for Arizona didn't get hurt. That's going to be can he come back? With that severe sprained ankle? That they got through the Pac-12 tournament. Let's just face it, the Pac-12 is not that good this year.
Right.
Pac-12 they only got 3 teams in. The Pac-12 is not deep. They're not that good. The later it goes on, the more without their point guard, I think they're going to get help. Remember, this is they're playing the San Antonio region. So if Houston comes out and makes it to the Sweet 16 and plays Arizona in San Antonio, that's going to be filled with a lot of Houston Cougar fans over there. I just don't like Calvin Sampson. I know Houston made a Final Four run last year. I have Arizona going, but I have Arizona, Houston in the Sweet 16. But I will say this: if you want to upset Chattanooga over Illinois. The Mocs, but I don't like the way Illinois is playing. I know they won the regular Big Ten championship on a technicality of I don't know, teams are. I forgot who they're tied with. Wisconsin. Yeah. I don't know if I can trust that team enough. I haven't seen greatness out of Illinois. Chattanooga, I've seen play. Yeah, they won at the buzzer beater, but that Chattanooga team, they're not scared of anybody. They can run the floor. They can do. I actually have Chattanooga actually upsetting Illinois in that one. I have Seton Hall beating TCU. I have TCU beating Seton Hall. I was not impressed watching Seton Hall in the Big East tournament. TCU showed me something. They beat Kansas a couple of weeks ago. They almost beat Kansas again for the second on a back-to-back basis. TCU beat Texas. I just think TCU has a chance, but I think this is Arizona, Houston, your Sweet 16.
Arizona, Houston. I tend to agree with that. In fact, let me look. Yeah, that's exactly what I have too. Arizona and Houston on that side. What about Ray? What do you have on that side of the bracket?
I have Tennessee. Tennessee coming out of the Sweet 16, top half of that to go up into the Final 8.
Interesting. Very interesting. But I mean, do you think Arizona kind of cruises through on their side and then meets Tennessee in the Elite 8?
They still got to contemplate with Houston too. I mean, with that point guard getting hurt, injured, that changed a little bit of the face of Arizona's basketball anyway. So can they keep adapting, or will this guy show up in the tournament? If he comes back, then the chemistry could be off balance too. I mean, when you have an injured player that's out most of the year, you time to go away from your chemistry gets a little bit better with the other players, and then when that injured player comes in, the chemistry does. Have to find that chemistry again, and that's the wrong time to find the chemistry back in the tournament if he shows up and come in, even though he is one of the best player they have. But still, I think Arizona could squeak right past Houston and then be Arizona and Tennessee in that portion.
No, definitely. I agree with that. I have Arizona and Tennessee in the Elite Eight in this bracket. I actually have Arizona coming out. Trey, let's jump to the other side of the bracket. Colorado State, Michigan. A lot of people are saying Michigan shouldn't have gotten in. But people were down on Michigan because of what happened with their coach. You got that 5-game suspension. But either way, definitely I could see Tennessee coming out of this little quad. I think the interesting matchup on this side is the Ohio State Loyola Chicago. Loyola Chicago historically in the tournament last couple of years have always had good karma. Do you think their karma continues? With their with sister, I can't remember her name. I don't think it's Mary, but the nun who travels them is now 102 years old. So does that karma continue with them?
And she's going to be. I think she's going to be there too.
I think so. So, I mean, out of all four, I think this is the most interesting matchup to me. What do you think on that side?
Yeah, I actually have Loyola Chicago beating Ohio State. Ohio State is not a very good team. Yeah, they beat my Dukes, whatever. I don't care. That's enough. But I like Loyola Chicago. I know they're on the bubble until they win the conference championship. Loyola Chicago is a good team. There's something magical about them. I just like the way they're playing right now, the way they won their championship, their conference tournament. Mm-hmm. Tennessee, Longwood had a good run, but Tennessee's playing remarkable ball right now. Tennessee, no question. Even though I don't think Michigan should be in, I think they're beating Colorado State.
Yeah, me too.
And then I have Vanilla beating Delaware. I don't think that's going to be close. And then I actually have Villanova versus Tennessee in the Sweet 16. Tennessee is going to face Arizona, and I'm still undecided on who to win pick in that bracket.
Yeah,
because I know Rick Barnes. Are they going to be able to make that run? He kind of chokes in pressure big games, so I'm kind of hesitant. But so does Arizona. Arizona lost to a 2 seed last year, or to a 15 seed. So
right.
I just don't know, but I do have Arizona, Tennessee. Right now, if you had to put a gun to my head, I say Tennessee, just the way they've been playing.
All right. So, Ray, do you have Arizona or Tennessee coming out of this?
I have Tennessee. I think Tennessee can pull that upset. I mean, I watched Tennessee play. I think they were playing Kentucky, and way they played, battled it out and stuff like that. So I mean, this team is battle ready, battle tested. I mean, he played some good games, and I think Tennessee would take back with their regular season what they did in the SEC. I think Tennessee can come out of that region. I mean, it's not too hard. And by the way, the Loyola nun's name is Sister Jean.
Sister Jean, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't remember her name.
Sister Mary would be too convenient, right?
Mary would be way too convenient. That is true. That's true. I mean, I like Arizona out of this region, but if Tennessee wins this region, would not surprise me one bit. All right, let's move down to the bottom with the Midwest region. The Kansas Jayhawks, the Big 12 champions, are the #1 seed on this side. They'll play the winner of San Diego State and Creighton. Creighton made the Big East final, but either way, I definitely think Kansas overpowers them. Iowa wins the Big Ten and against Richmond, who won the Atlantic 10. I think that's going to be a very interesting game. And then Providence, who won the regular season AAC, against South Dakota State. I think this is prime for a 4-13 upset because Providence, a lot of people are saying they were overrated because they didn't finish their season. They didn't play 3 of their games. A lot of people saying Providence is overseeded, and the South Dakota State team pretty much went undefeated in conference. Yes, it is a weaker conference, but still to go undefeated in conference is still going undefeated in conference. So, Trey, do you think this 4-13, this could be our 4-13 upset of the tournament?
Yeah, I like San Diego State, man. That team's good. That team is good. I'm telling you.
You mean South Dakota?
Or South Dakota. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
South Dakota State. That's a good team, man. I would not be shocked they make a Sweet 16 run.
Interesting.
I know Iowa's playing great ball right now, but at some point you got to stop cooling off from 3. You live and die by the 3. That's the Golden State Warriors and other teams like that who live and die by the 3. At some point, the rims are going to start getting tight. South Dakota State has a great senior leadership on that team, upperclassmen. Iowa, they have a player who's been playing there for like 10 years. It seems like I forgot his stinking name, but honestly, I think this is the easiest bracket in the world. I think but Kansas chokes a lot too. Kansas has trouble with Iowa teams. Remember, Northern Iowa beat them a couple, even though they're the favorite to win.
Yes.
Kansas is playing good ball. Abaji is probably the Naismith Player of the Year this year. That guy is a stud. That guy can hit you from three. He can drive to the rim. He plays good defense. Kansas should come out of this side of the bracket, but I would not be shocked if Iowa does. I actually have Kansas versus Iowa in the Sweet 16. Now, the San Diego State Creighton game, who cares?
Right.
I really don't care.
Yes, I do have Kansas and Iowa coming out of this side. Ray, are you on board with the Kansas and Iowa matchup on that side of the bracket?
Yeah, when I looked at this bracket, I think the only team that really could give Kansas a run is Iowa in this top half of the bracket. Maybe not for the whole region, but for the top half, I think it's just going to be Kansas. I think it's going to be Kansas and Iowa in this part.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well,
Iowa can give Kansas some problems. Iowa runs. Iowa can run the ball and run them out of the gym. It's some Kansas kind of troubles with a little bit, but I still think Kansas is too. But like I said, Kansas always disappoints a lot of people. I've said this forever. If you watch me on a regular basis, I think Bill Self is the most overrated coach I've ever seen in my life. I disagree with that.
I would definitely agree with that. All right, moving on to the other side, LSU against Iowa State. LSU is having a lot of internal problems in their program, so this might be a team in turmoil or a team on the mission. You never know. Wisconsin, a lot of people are talking about Wisconsin possibly being able to make a run. USA, Miami, a lot of people see USC was overseeded and Miami was underseeded coming out of the Big East. Coming out of the ACC. And, of course, Auburn, who Trey says is not playing good ball right now, might have been a little overseeded. So this is an interesting side. So, Ray, let's start with you on this side of the bracket. Who do you see coming out of this side?
Well, I mean, if Auburn gets past Jacksonville State and Miami gets past USC, that right there could be a battle right there between Auburn and Miami, because Miami's gotten 4 guards that can shoot, that can dribble, that can penetrate, they could give Kessler some foul troubles, give Edwards some foul. There's other big guy foul troubles. I mean, that's a very interesting one, and I would like to see that. But right now, I think I have it Auburn edging that one out by like a point or so. But, out of this lower bracket, to me, Wisconsin can give people some trouble with their slow pace offense they run. See, I'm kind of hard turn on this lower half of the bracket, I think Auburn is going to come out of it and make it to that final 8. And it's going to be an interesting matchup if Kansas get there too. So,
yeah, that's what I have. I have Auburn and Kansas in the final 8. Trey, what about you?
I would love to see Auburn and Iowa play each other. That'd be a great game.
But
I agree with everything Ray says. That USC Miami game. I actually have Miami beating USC in this game. I think they have 4 guards. The Miami Hurricanes know exactly who they are. They know they're not big. They shoot threes. They have guys who can shoot it from Steph Curry range. I actually have Miami beating USC in this one. I just think that I think quickness is going to beat the size of USC this game. Now, I would not be shocked if Colgate beats Wisconsin in the first round. Wisconsin always disappoints. They always disappoint at some point or another. They always disappoint you.
That's a bold prediction right there.
I'm not saying that. I would not be shocked.
No.
I'm not picking Colgate. I'm just saying I would not be shocked.
You wouldn't be shocked if the toothpaste beats the cheese, right?
Exactly.
I'm sorry, that was stupid, but that was really stupid. All right. Anyway, so but do we think that Kansas is going to come out of? I have Kansas coming out of this region.
If Auburn can get past Miami, I think Auburn comes out of this bracket.
Yeah.
But you agree with that, Ray?
Yeah. If they get past Miami, then it's Auburn's taken.
All right. So I know both of you got a couple of SEC teams in the Final Four.
SEC, dude. SEC was probably, I could argue, probably one of the best conferences in college basketball this year.
Yeah. If you notice, Big Ten has 9 teams in. We have most of them losing out.
That's what usually happens. Sometimes with the conference with the most teams gets a lot of them out early. That usually happens.
Big Ten also has the most teams in, but they also don't have a 1 or a 2 seed either.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. So let's give a final prediction here, and then we're gonna take another break and then move on to the NFL because the NFL is always dominating the headlines. it's funny. I have a Gonzaga Arizona final, and I have Arizona winning the whole thing. That was my first. What I do is when I go with my gut, that's my gut bracket. Obviously, my brackets might change, but this is my gut bracket, so I'm going to go on air with this prediction. So I have Arizona winning the whole thing. Ray, who do you have in your bracket, or is this an official bracket, or is this a sketch bracket, or the bracket you have for Monday night right now?
The bias bracket. That's what I call mine, because I have one that's got Carolina going all the way. I will always have that bracket, but also I have another one called the bias bracket, where I'm going through diligently going through, out of the whole deal, even though I'm a Carolina guy, I'm a Tar Heel, the hatred for Duke is real hatred, but I do have Duke going to a certain point and getting beat. But I have Arkansas going into one Final Four. I have Baylor, and then I have I have going out of the other Final Four. Not Arizona, but I had Tennessee, and then I had Auburn, and I had Auburn winning it all.
Ah, so you have 3 SEC teams in the Final Four. Interesting.
Yep.
Very interesting. So, all right, Trey, what about you? I know you. There was one side, the Arizona, Tennessee, you're still on the fence about, but for the sake of television, let's make a prediction.
Well, in my sketch bracket, before I came on the show, usually I fill out a bracket right after the tournament, the selection Sunday. I usually fill it out just because I want to have that feeling of yes, I filled out a bracket. But then I change her. My wife gets mad because I'm up till 2:00 in the morning. Oh no, this. Then I listen to the experts and overthink my stuff and whatever the case may be. But I actually have. You want my championship or Final Four? Because I really don't.
Final Four and championship.
Final Four. I have Duke coming out of the West. Baylor out of the East. Auburn coming out of the Midwest.
You had Tennessee, right?
And I'm going Tennessee in the South.
All right. So who's your final, and who's winning this
Duke,
thing?
Tennessee.
And you have Duke winning it, and
I have to.
Coach K riding out into the sunset, huh?
Something's good got to happen for Coach K. Okay, come on. But no, I would not be like Ray said. This
too much pressure.
It's wide open this year. People are picking it. If you look at the Caesar odds this year, no matter who you pick, you're going to win some money.
Right.
This has been no one, anyone can win it. And there's parity in the NCAA, and that's what we love. This is exactly why I love college. This is the best year I've watched college basketball from top to finish. I mean, anybody can win at any given moment. It's March Madness, man. But Tennessee right now, if you want to go into my head, I think Tennessee's playing the best basketball at everybody. I think Tennessee and Arizona just scares me without their point guard. It just does. I think they can win 1 or 2 games, but I don't think they can win those tougher games when it goes down to the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. I just don't see it happening. But Tennessee is playing good ball. But if Auburn gets on a roll, that team, there's a reason they didn't lose a game for the longest time in the world. I'm just saying. And Gonzaga, I think they're overrated. I mean, they don't play anybody in there. I know they got 4 teams in their conference that made it, or 3 teams that made it to the conference. But let's be honest, with San Francisco and St. Mary's, come on, it's not the Big 12, the Big 10. Right? These guys are playing every single night. Right. So, and plus, fear always chokes in the big games. Every time you think you're going to win a champ, Baylor blew them out by 20 points last year. They used to be the darling. Now everyone's haunting them, and they just choke under pressure. So I'm never going to pick Gonzaga to win championship until they do. True,
and it's interesting. I checked with Jay Billis, who's Mr. College Basketball, and he actually has a Gonzaga Arizona final too. So I was like, wow.
Go against them. Go against them.
I know. Now I'm kind of rethinking it too, but you never know.
Jay Billis, is there more? And we'll move on after this. But is there more annoying broadcaster than Jay Billis in college basketball? That's a foul. No, it's not. Let him play. Good guy. I don't know why that wasn't a foul. Oh my God! Shut up, Jay Billis.
That's a pretty good invitation. Hey, yeah. One more quick point. It was really good this weekend to see Dick Vitale run onto the court. Glad he's feeling better. Prayers and love to you, Dickie V. You're a voice of the game. Good to see you feeling better and all that stuff. We're going to take another short break. We're going to come back and talk about the mayhem that was the NFL last week, and we can't forget it. And then we'll get a final thought about baseball. So we will be right back.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 5, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you to the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so type the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
All right, that's all our merchandise. Make sure if you guys go out and get some of our merch, wear it around town, wear it on the airplane, the boat, the ship, whatever you're doing. Definitely good stuff out there. All right, so we talked about Tom Brady, but last week and today too, crazy stuff in the NFL. So many big stories to touch on. Where to start? No, the big trade last week was, of course, Russell Wilson. We weren't on the air when that happened. That happened the day after us, so we definitely need to talk about the Russell Wilson trade. Ray, when that trade went down, what was the first thought that came to your mind when you're like Russell Wilson to Denver in that really tough AFC West?
Well, I'm gonna put a disclaimer out there. Don't do this at home. I was on the Dames Point Bridge, the biggest bridge in Jacksonville. I almost took my car off the bridge when I heard that. I was actually listening to ESPN radio when they broke that, and I was on the way up the bridge. And when he said that, I got at the very peak top, and I so happened kind of jerked, and I see out of the corner of the eye, almost my car hitting the railing and going over the Danes Point Bridge. That would have been kind of embarrassing, but yeah, that trade shocked me. So I didn't think it was going to go down like that. I thought it was going to take at least a few weeks after the season started. The new season started before they get everything worked out, but. That was a shocker.
It definitely was. Trey, going into that we got 4 really good quarterbacks in that division, in that division now, the AFC West. I mean, does getting Russell Wilson, does that? I mean, it moves Denver up. I mean, they're not 1 and 1A with Kansas City, but they're definitely a lot closer to Kansas City than some people are saying. Would you agree with that?
With that defense, hell yeah. That defense, remember, they gave Patrick Mahomes all they can handle for 2 games last year. I mean, Kansas City came back and won that game, but they just didn't have a quarterback. Who they have? Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. Right. I mean, I love Teddy Bridgewater, but he's ever since he tore his ACL, he's not been the same quarterback. But you get Russell Wilson with that defense, kind of reminds me of the Seattle team that won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. I mean, that defense was the best defense. They just couldn't score touchdowns. Right. Unless they play the Dallas Cowboys for whatever reason. But anyway, that's not here or there. I love the move. I was free. What's his name? Free Russ. That's what I was saying. Free Russ, because he needed to get out of Seattle. It was a toxic environment for him ever since they got rid of Legion of Boom. Pete Carroll I don't know what he's doing anymore. He used to be the best coach in the NFL. Not the best coach, but like the funnest coach in the NFL to play with. And now he's like dragging that team down the hell sack. But I think it's going to revive Russell Wilson. I think it gives him a better he has great wide receivers to throw to. Jerry Jeudy. Wow. He has a good young stud wide receiver core to throw to. Unless he has a better offensive line in Denver. So I was like, thank God. And plus, I was very happy when I heard this move, because I was like, because Aaron Rodgers news broke right before that, and I was like, oh God, now we got to listen. I almost turned my ESPN radio off, because I was like, I do not want to listen to Aaron Rodgers for the whole rest of the day. Exactly. And then that happened. I was like, thank you, Jesus. I'm so tired of Aaron Rodgers crybaby saga, man. I'm just so sick of this crap.
I think we all on this show will definitely agree with that. We're like, we know what Aaron Rodgers is doing. Now go away and we'll see you in training camp. I don't want to hear any more about Aaron Rodgers in this offseason for sure. Exactly.
And you can't cry anymore that you're not going to, you don't have any help, because you're going to give that team salary cap help with that contract that you're going to sign. I'm just
exactly. But
so, I'm happy for Russell Wilson. I think it's going to be a good fit for him. They have a hell of a running back. Williams, is his name? I can't remember. I'm not in NFL mode right now. I'm sorry.
Right. No, it's all good. It's all good. I just want to touch on these things.
I think it's a good fit. And honestly, I think Caesar likes it too. Las Vegas really loves it, because I think they're the 4th best team to win the Super Bowl this year. I think they jumped up that high with Russell Wilson.
Yeah, they're bringing
that leadership. I think
definitely jumped up. All right, Trey, I go to you with this. The Cowboys release Amari Cooper.
Thank God.
Obviously, salary cap dump. Some people were saying, why are they getting rid of one of Dak's weapons when they should maybe get rid of Zeke, because Zeke can't stay healthy, and Pollard had a decent season as a running back. As a Cowboy fan, where do you sit with this?
I'm with getting rid of Cooper. Cooper, you pay him all that money to be a number one wide receiver. And what did he do for you? He didn't show up for you at all. And plus, he threw his quarterback on. Reports already threw his quarterback under the bus. He didn't like the way Dak threw the ball. He didn't like the way he wasn't a number one wide receiver. He didn't get open. He didn't play hard most of the time. You saw he was moping around a lot. He wasn't doing things. He was in scramble mode. He was just not doing anything. So I think it was good saving $16 million. I'm surprised that the Cleveland Browns actually traded for him, because the Cowboys were stupid enough to say we're going to release you instead of trade you, and then say, oh, we'll trade Amari Cooper. So they were going to probably get him cheaper than trading him. But Dallas got a couple fifth and sixth round pick for him. I like it, but Zeke Elliott, tell me who's going to take on that contract. Tell me who's going to take on that stupid contract. I said it right when he got paid. I say it again. I don't understand why they pay. You do not pay running back. When has a paying a running back ever worked out for any team in the NFL in this day and age?
Exactly.
Todd Gurley, we saw what happened. Christian McCaffrey, injury prone. Christian McCaffrey could come back. He could stay healthy, but he's starting to get injured a little bit now because he's doing a lot for his team. Zeke Elliott, the same. The Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones and the family are not going to get rid of Zeke Elliott. They love Zeke Elliott because he's tough. He's this. He's that. He's like, they're bragging because he played with the PCL tear. Shouldn't that give you reason to sit him out and have a healthy Tony Pollard, who's probably got more production for the Dallas Cowboys offense, was moving the ball a lot better with him than Zeke Elliott. The only thing that Tony Pollard doesn't do is block the blitz package like Zeke Elliott does. Tony Pollard does everything else better than Zeke Elliott does right now, and you're only paying him $500,000 a year.
Exactly.
But Jerry Jones just loves Zeke. This is why Jerry Jones is not a good general manager. This is why true Dallas Cowboy fans, not the ones who said we're going to win the Super Bowl every year, but this is true Dallas Cowboys fans. As long as Jerry Jones is the general manager of that team, this team is not winning the Super Bowl. I'm telling you that right now. That's hard for me to say, because I give this team until a couple of years ago. They always going to disappoint you. And this, I wouldn't even pay. I wish they would have gone off and got somebody else besides Dak. I wish they wouldn't have signed Dak. I love Dak Prescott. I love his mentality. Everything he's going through with mental health. He's losing his mother, lost his brother's suicide, got COVID. He's going through depression. I love everything that he brings. He still does everything right. He does it, but he's not an elite. I think he's top 10, maybe top 10, but he's not that $40 million quarterback. I just think that he tries too hard. I don't think they need him to do that. I think they just need to run the ball and give him and this is it for Mike McCarthy. This is it. Right. Because Sean Payton, I don't care what anyone says, Sean Payton's going to be the head coach of that team unless Dallas Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year. There's a reason why he left. I'm telling you.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And people are saying the Michael Gallup thing too, like, oh, why are we keeping Michael Gallup? Michael Gallup is a deep threat guy. Michael Gallup was the guy who got the other receivers open because he can beat people over the top. Now, he tore his ACL. He's probably not going to be ready for the opening. He's not going to be in training camp. He's not going to be in preseason games. But I like putting CeeDee Lamb at the number one. This wide receiver draft class is very good. So I don't mind Dallas Cowboys saving $16 million in the cap space if it brings in a Bobby Wagner or someone like that for the help out that defense.
Right. Now, another interesting move last week was the Bears trading Khalil Mack to the Chargers. The Chargers obviously beefing up to be in that AFC West, Ray. I mean, a great move for the Chargers. You got Bosa and Khalil Mack both on that San Diego defense, along with their safety, who hope he can stay healthy. They're definitely gearing up for what's going to happen in that division this year.
Yeah, I mean, that division is gonna be slam tight. I mean, you got all kinds of players coming over. You got LA Chargers setting up their defense. I mean, their offenses are on that level right now, but they needed to do their defense, so might as well add a veteran Khalil Mack. I mean, now you can't double team Bosa because Khalil Mack can still get in there and cause havoc in the backfield too. So you're gonna have to pick your poison out of that bunch of the LA Chargers. I mean, stifle up the defense. I mean, that's the way to do it. And you gotta set yourself up because you got Patrick Mahomes and all that, and you gotta play 10-wheel car. Now you got Russell Wilson, and that's gonna be the Donnybrook. Back in the old days where the Cowboys, the Redskins, and the Giants all in that tough division, the Eagles and that tough NFC East. Now the AFC West is became that division now all of a sudden this year.
Well, they definitely are planning because the Chargers also, they signed J.C. Jackson today. Remember they've got Khalil, Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Asante Samuel. So they're definitely planning on those aerial attacks of the AFC West. Trey, another big signing today. Mitchell Trubisky signs a 2-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they're planning for Mitchell Trubisky to be the successor to Big Ben. What are your thoughts on that?
I actually kind of like this. I kind of do. I think you get a good head coach and a Mike Tomlin in there who has not had a losing record in his tenure in Pittsburgh. You have now receivers drop balls, but that offensive line is going to be horrendous for him.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a mobile quarterback where you had a deadbeat, overfed statue standing back for the last 30 years and Ben Roethlisberger.
Right.
I think his legs are going to help him a little bit. They got to shore up that offensive line. But I think sitting on the bench and watching Josh Allen in Buffalo and taking the game in, getting away from Chicago, Matt Nagy, because all that was just ridiculousness. I think seeing the game on the bench, I think he's becoming a better quarterback. I always had high upside for Mr. Trubisky. Remember this? He still took his team to the playoffs too. I mean, he wasn't that bad. I mean, the Bears didn't have any great they had one good wide receiver and one good running back, but that's all they had. Right. So you take him to Pittsburgh, Mike Tomlin, a good coach. They need a new offensive coordinator in Pittsburgh, I'll tell you that, but because I don't understand these slant routes and everything. But maybe Mitch Trubisky can bring that deep ball throw over for Johnson and those wide receivers over there. And Juju Smith-Schuster, if he comes back, I don't know if he's going to come back or not. But I actually like it going to Mike Tomlin, going to a winning culture team, a team that knows how to win. I think that'll help Mitch Trubisky out a lot. And I think it's a good – because if you look at the NFL draft, and hell, if it doesn't work out, might have a good NFL draft class next year in the draft. I mean, because this draft class is horrendous. It's horrible for quarterbacks.
And it's interesting. It's all about culture in this league, as we're learning with teams. It's all about the culture and obviously the quarterback, but you got to have a healthy culture to have a healthy quarterback. Now, Ray, I want to backtrack with this last football take from you. You haven't been on the air since your Jacksonville Jaguars signed Doug Peterson. I have not gotten your take about that. I want to get your take about Coach Peterson. What was the talk in Jacksonville with the signing? As a season ticket holder, how do you feel about that?
Me, I mean, I love. I mean, you bring in a Super Bowl coach. You got to change. He's able to change. He changed the Eagles' culture a little bit and make them back into a winning program itself. Then I think the general manager did him wrong. In Philadelphia, I think he took a year off, came back. I think the fiasco with Urban Myers and Jacksonville Jaguars was just ferocious. I mean, you got a coach that not fly back with the team when they left Cincinnati. He stayed there and got popped with a freaking camera on him, doing the twerk, with a female and stuff. And then, I think that hire was really worse for the organization, and it really showed on the field. I think Peterson has come in. I think he has sat down with the general manager and they have worked out a game plan. And you can tell with the free agent signings they have right now, they just signed even Evan Ingram. If he can stay healthy, to give him a tight end, a passing tight end that Jacksonville never had in a long time. So that's going to help out with the rush because we had no tight end to throw to. And when Lawrence got back there to throw, he was getting savvy. He had no tight end to throw it to. I mean, dude, we had blocking tight ends out there trying to be wide receivers, and they weren't even catching nothing. And then you got, Christian Kirk. They signed him today too. Yeah. I mean, that's just a luxury right there, because I mean, it gives him another outside. Well, we don't know what DJ Shark if he's coming back or not. He scrubbed his Instagram and all his social media of all the Jaguar stuff, so we don't know what's going on with him. Right. The franchise tag on Cam Robinson was good, and then they picked up Brandon Sheriff, five-time Pro Bowler,
right,
offensive guard. So they shortened up the offensive line. Tyler Shatley, who did pretty good last year, tightened up a little bit in the inside, and then I mean, they got some of their needs now. So then they can go focus on the draft. They can go around and get the other needs they need with the younger kids and stuff. So I mean, I think Peterson is in the culture here is going to change. You got to understand, we just put in a $5 million. We're working on a $5 million practice facility now.
Right.
They're moving all the football operations office out of the stadium over to this new building. They're preparing here in the next 5 or 6 years. They're going to upgrade the stadium. the city council told them they can upgrade the stadium. They're not going to be able to find any kind of land around here to put a new stadium because the way Jacksonville is set up and the way these housing markets are coming in, taking lands left and right. So what they're going to do is they're going to try to do the same way they did it when Jacksonville first got the team in 1995, is take the stadium down, leave certain parts of the stadium up and renew it a little bit. So that means the team might have to play in Orlando for a little while too if they do that plan.
Well, their owner would rather play in London, it seems like, right?
But you can't take the team. You can't take the team, a whole team over there and just plummet. But he's already. Everybody thinks that, but he's already came out and he's already stated to the team to the fact that only while we're playing the home games over there is it does help our small market team. Our revenue stream goes up with that one game over there. I understand that. He is now in the talks with the NFL to do a home game and then flip the next week, be a visitor there to play 2 straight games back, but not taking the home game away from the home, state of Jacksonville. So he's talking about flipping, visiting, being a visitor over there while you're over there. So that's another thing that's going to come up in the next couple of years here in Jacksonville. But it really helps out. I mean, to me, I think Shad Khan, you could take his grain of salt because he hasn't gone back on none of his words. He said straight out when he first came here that Jacksonville will stay in Jacksonville, and the national media don't like Jacksonville anyway, so they put these bugs out there and everybody just jumps on them. And then when Shad Khan comes out, everything gets calmed down again. But he's now building a shipyard just across from the stadium. He won that land over there. So he's putting a multi-5-star hotel across the street where the visiting teams will come and stay. So they don't have to stay downtown. All they have to do is take a bus or they can take a tram across the street to get to the stadium now. So instead of going all the way downtown.
Cool. When New England, that area.
Yeah, when New England came here, New England had to stay in Ponte Vedra.
Oh, wow.
All of the TPC, they stayed at the Ponte Vedra Inn, which is out by the beach, which is about a 45-minute drive to the TIA Bank Field.
Right. Well, but they still won, so I guess the ride didn't matter much. Yeah.
But I mean, when they came here, they had Tom Brady now. My friend, who was an Uber driver, he got to take Belichick and Tom Brady downtown and show him around.
Oh, so. Cool, very, very cool. All right. Well, we could talk football for another hour, but unfortunately, we got to wrap things up. So I just want to get a quick baseball take from either one of you. The lockout is over. We're going to have a full 162 game baseball season. Trey, I know you're not much in baseball mode right now, but I'm trying to remember, are you a Yankee fan, if I'm correct?
Yeah, I'm a Yankee guy.
All right. So you saw the big trade today the Yankees made. They traded Urshela and Sanchez to Minnesota. Got Donaldson. Just quick take on the trade, and obviously people want to get Sanchez out of there for a while, but what's your take and feeling on this trade and how it'll help the Yankee lineup?
I love the trade. I liked Urshela though. I cannot say names anymore. Urshela. I liked Urshela a lot. He brought his defensive third. The paralysis is top notch. The way he made plays on the third base side of the infield, which is phenomenal to watch. I'm going to miss him. But getting Gary Sanchez, I would take that every day of the week. Gary Sanchez, he can't catch. He can't block balls. He cost the Yankees so many games last year because he couldn't. For heaven's sake, your $300 million pitcher, Cole, didn't even want him catching anymore. So they made a good trade. The only thing I'm worried about is Donaldson he has to shave. Is he going to be hater toward that? I mean, he has to shave his beard. I'm just saying that's going to be tough for a lot of people who come to New York. Even though I think that's the stupidest rule that New York has. I'm sorry. It's the dumbest stinking rule. I couldn't be a Yankee guy. I couldn't. I'm like, no, you're not going to see my baby face. I'm sorry.
Right. But, it's the Yankee way, the shaving, yeah.
But honestly, everyone's like, oh, we need baseball. Do we really need baseball in March and April? I mean, do we really? No one's really caring. I mean, the diehard fans are really caring. But most of us don't get into it until after NBA Finals. Let's just be straight up. I mean, we don't. We'll follow our teams. We'll check scores. We'll watch games every now and then. On an off day if there's nothing else going on. But let's face it, March, it's March Madness. April's the Masters. NBA
and then the NFL draft.
And then NFL draft. Baseball has summer. They can play games in June, July, August, and there you go. I think 162 games is way too much. But yeah, I'll probably still watch a lot of Yankee games because it's fun to watch. But I'm glad they're back. I finally came to a resolution. I think both sides got what they needed. I think they both did a remarkable job. I mean, I give credit to the players for holding out. They said they got a bad deal, which they did. They got a bad deal, and they held out as long as they could. And then I think the pressure got to them. They finally struck a deal. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And also, I don't like Rob Manfred, whatever his freaking name is. I can't stand him. Oh, we're going to cancel these games. We're not going to play 162 games. We're stern and all that. And all of a sudden, oh, yeah, we're going to play 162. They're going to play these games that they're going to miss in double headers on their off days. And I'm like, you're putting more pressure on these players that are like, come on, dude. Just stick with your word. We were fine with 156 games, even though I'm going to probably miss the Rangers-Yankees coming to Globe Life Stadium. But just stick with your word, dude. Mike Greenberg could be a better commissioner than this guy. I'm just.
And I know. I remember he's talked about that before about if I was commissioner, that type of thing. So yeah, I remember back in the day that we're talking about that. We lost Ray there.
But honestly, I would like. There's still a big Freddie Freeman out there. I'm still checking that. Where is he? The Yankees talking about him? I wouldn't mind him coming pinstripes, but I also wouldn't mind keeping who they have. I forgot. Who they have right now?
Rizzo,
that's his name. Yeah. And then also Correa. Correa is another big market guy out there still. He's not going back to Houston. Where's he going to line up? The Mariners are going to do some major things this spring training, so watch out. I think the Mariners are going to take a big leap.
They made a big trade today too, the Mariners.
And then I just saw the Brewers just got A.J. McCutchen. So Brewers kind of everything. NFL, you have NFL free agency, you have Major League Baseball free agency, you have March Madness, you have Masters coming. It's just great to be alive in sports world.
This has been a nutty. And
my wife hates me because I'm on my Twitter every 5 minutes. She goes, "What are you doing?"
I know. I don't know where Ray went, but I wanted to get his take on Freddie Freeman, but we can get that next week. It's all right. Just a quick take by me. Prayers and thoughts out to Pete Alonso. He was in a very bad car accident over in Tampa. His truck flipped over 3 times, but thank God he was able to knock his windshield out and walk away from it. And he's in training camp today, feeling all right. But that type of thing. Oh, there's Ray. Cool, real quick. All right, Ray, real quick. Matt Olson gets traded to the Braves, so that means no Freddie Freeman. Your thoughts as a Braves fan?
Yeah, Matt Olson got traded to the Braves. I mean, I'm sorry for Freddie. Freeman was one of my best players on last year's team. But we still got Soler. I think it's going to hurt because Freeman was a great hitter, and he's get hit for power. He get hit for base hit. He's a clutch hitter. Good defensive first baseman. But I mean, Matt Olson can do this pretty much the same thing if he's on at the plate. But he is a good defensive first baseman. So. I mean, it's going to hurt in our lineup a little bit, but it's not going to hurt as much as everybody thinks because you still got Slayer, you still got Rosario, you still got, pretty much the cult of the player self of Peter. They lost some of their power hitters, and then you lost Freeman.
Coming back from his injury.
Yep, and you got Acuña still. If he can stay healthy all year.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, the Braves definitely look good. This is definitely a good deal for them. Matt Olson's a hell of a player from Oakland. Oakland's been cleaning house. Yeah. Well, we're basically out of time. We'll have more to talk about next week. We'll see what happens this first weekend. Thursday and Friday, 2 of my favorite days of the year. I mean, watching basketball from noon till like 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. Great days.
Are you doing gigs?
I have gigs, but I'll have it on my phone. So
you have it on the stand. Oh,
yeah. What I do is I put my phone up on my keyboard while I'm playing the gig, whatever. I just check my phone. Yeah, I do it during football season too. It's crazy. I'm in the back, so no one ever knows. It's a wonderful thing. So Trey, thank you so much for joining us today. Really enjoyed having you with March Madness. It's always great to get your take. We'll see what happens. Ray, good to see you. Thanks for coming out. Hopefully, we'll all be together next week. I'm your host, the Big Dog, and we will see you next week. Peace out.
Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. Whole sports all plays. 365, we making up plays. We talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. Hitting the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports all plays.